You ever wonder why liberals hate Amy Coney Barrett so much? Looking at the mainstream media, you might think it's because she's a Christian. That's a part of it. She's a successful woman. It's a part of it too. They slander her as a racist, but then they do that to everyone. The real reason they hate her is because she is the living counter-argument to their twisted ideals and identity politics. Today, we're going to be looking at three key aspects of Amy Coney Barrett's life that tear up the left's identity politics and expose their arguments for what they really are. This is Political. My name is Connor Allen. I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Ryan Smith.
Hello, everyone.
And just before we do begin, guys, if you do like this content, then please do subscribe and like it. It really helps us out with the algorithm. Please do share with us your comment and your opinion, even if you disagree with us. We like to have a bit of a debate in the comment section. And please do share this as well with your friends and family. If you do enjoy it, it is the best thing you can do to support us. So, moving on with the video, the attacks have already started. You're going to be seeing a lot of them are coming up. Ibram Kendia, the author of How to Be an Anti-Racist, I wonder what he's going to say, had this to say. Some white colonizers adopted black children. They civilized these savage children in the superior ways of white people, while using them as props in the lifelong pictures of denial, while cutting the biological parents of these children out of the picture of humanity. And whether this is Barrett or not is his point. It's a belief too many white people have. If they have or adopt a child of color, then they can't be racist. I'm challenging the idea that white parents of kids of color are inherently not racist, and the bots completely change what I'm saying to white parents of kids of color are inherently racist. These live and fake bots are good at their propaganda. Let's not argue with them. Very advanced robots, don't you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure leftists know what bots are exactly. These are the most.
I mean, Vladimir Putin, he's real advanced these days.
Yeah, these are the most sophisticated bots in the existence of mankind. They are sentient beings who can absorb arguments and come up with counter arguments. And it's not as if they can follow any kind of logic, because we both know that there is no logic when it comes to arguing with liberals on Twitter. So. I think Putin is wasting his time trying to influence these elections with these incredibly sophisticated bots he has. He could be taking over the world.
Absolutely. But coming back to Ibram Kendi, so you have it right there, he said, this person is a disgusting racist, period.
Yeah.
Is she?
Well, I think if she is, there doesn't appear to be any evidence.
Hides it quite well, doesn't she?
Yeah. I think what we have here is the left is so used to being able to just pigeonhole people into these identity groups, use identity politics to attack people. And when they have someone who isn't male, isn't cisgendered or whatever, they're struggling. So they have to attack them based upon the contents of their character, which, as they should, but this is new territory for them. So they've taken one of the most endearing things about Amy Barrett, which obviously she's adopted 2 children. Doesn't matter if they're black or white. Doesn't matter where they're from.
Huge financial burden, a lot of care and attention.
Yeah.
She's a compassionate lady, doesn't it?
Yeah, it shows she's compassionate. It shows she's caring. Obviously, people don't adopt children unless they are that way inclined. So they've seen this. They've gone, well, hold on. This is a great endearing quality that she has. How can I turn and twist this into a negative? And this is led to this kind of spaghetti logic here, coming from Ibram Kendi, author of How to Be an Anti-Racist.
I mean, spaghetti logic from the left. Am I hearing you correctly? But this is so ridiculous, isn't it? Because if she hadn't adopted those two children, then what you would have left. Because what the left love to do, they love to play the race card whenever there's any hint of race. So here, you do an act of compassion and you adopt 2 people from Haiti. You bring them into a middle-class American life. You give them an objectively better life. But they're black, so they have to play the race card. But if they didn't have the opportunity to play that race card, and they would play it anyway, because she would have no association with black people, she would have no kind of visible signal of anti-racism, and that, in their mind, makes you a racist.
Yeah, they don't see past race. So
of course not.
they see two black children and they go, well, there must be racism here in some way. And the other thing as well is, like you say, here's a privileged person, and I mean that in the sense that they have a privileged lifestyle. Like say middle class, upper class, obviously, about to potentially be appointed to the Supreme Court. I'm sure that comes with a nice salary. So. If, though, you believe in the leftist narrative that being white gives you this inherent privilege that towers you above other non-whites and gives you certain privileges in life, then what better way to pay back than to adopt two black children who, from a country that has been devastated by natural disaster and has got many orphans, right?
It amounts to a redistribution of wealth, doesn't it? Because what you're doing is you're taking money from this rich, white, privileged person, and you're using it to better the lives of people of color.
Exactly. So I don't. Why can't they just go, oh yeah, here's a nice part of Amy Barrett's personality. We're not going to attack her on this. This is an objectively good thing that she's done. Let's focus on just the disagreements and make a argument, a philosophical argument or a political argument or whatever it is. Attack her on the basis of her ideas.
Absolutely, but this doesn't play into their game. This is identity politics, okay, and this is why Amy is so brilliant, because she exposes it, right? And this is the first of our points. The left trips up because they can't follow their own logic when they're confronted with this. Look at Ibram's comments, okay? If you're going to have to go back and to call someone a racist, you have to start bringing up colonizers of savage children and things like that. You're going out on a limb. So Amy destroying this aspect of identity politics. The second thing she destroys is this feminist vision of what it means to be a woman, because the left, they can't handle a successful woman. From their point of view, every single woman is a victim of the patriarchy, a victim of violence from men, whether or not violence has been committed. So when they see a lady who's just about to be appointed to the highest pinnacle of her career, there is literally no higher post for her once she is appointed. She's done all that while she's married and she has 7 kids. It just rips them apart, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with the left, when you do believe in this ideology of identity politics and you pigeonhole people into a particular group, all it takes is one exception to that group to show that it's obviously a load of rubbish and people don't behave in these sort of monoliths that once you put them in a group, oh, you're female, so this, and you're black, so this. And Amy Barrett destroys many of them in the same go, but obviously one of the most significant ones, probably the most significant one really, is that she's a woman. And it destroys, we talked about destroying this, talking about white privilege before. The other idea is that if you're a woman, then you are automatically oppressed. Right, definitely. And you couldn't possibly achieve any heights. And this is why Donald Trump was voted in, because everyone's sexist and they couldn't allow Hillary Clinton to be president. This is what they say. So again,
no woman is allowed to be a conservative or to hold these views. And especially we mentioned Candace Owens in one of our first videos, and she is held up routinely by people from our point of view to discredit these leftist arguments.
Yeah, sure. And, not only is she a woman who is about to reach, presumably, the pinnacle of her profession, she's about to be a Supreme Court judge or justice, it doesn't get any higher than that. If you were a scholar of law, then that's basically what you dream of doing, is being on the Supreme Court one day. So she's going to reach the absolute heights of it, despite being a woman, which, obviously doesn't hold her back in any way. Not only that, she has a family of 7. She's given birth to 5 children. Apparently, according to the left, pregnancy is like a shackle that stops you from being successful, stops you from having a career. That, if you take, maternity leave or whatever, or if you have to take time off to raise children, which obviously is going to be the case if you're pregnant, you will need some time to recover from that. Then suddenly now you're hampered in such a fashion you couldn't possibly compete with your male counterparts. And again, it's just destroying all of these narratives, one after the other.
Absolutely. And this is why she's so good at destroying these liberal perspectives, because again, she just refuses to be categorized in this victim narrative. But again, we're seeing that all across America. We had the gay men coming out for Trump last week. 45% of all gay men support Donald Trump. You see black conservatives receiving an ever more prominent piece of the media pie, so to speak, and all the hatred that comes with that. Any minority group, actually, you're seeing more and more people refusing to be categorized as a victim by these patronizing narratives of the left.
Yeah, and it's part of this greater walk-away movement. People that have voted Democrat all their life, almost because they felt like, they had to. I mean, listen, I felt like growing up in northern part of England, northwest of England, a very sort of industrialized working class area, there is pressure from almost everyone that you have to vote the left-wing parties here. You have to vote Labour. And I think for a lot of people, it's the same in America. People, minorities, women, whatever, working class, have felt, we have to vote Democrat. And it's only occurring to a lot of people now because of this great movement by President Trump that actually Republicans, or in particular Trump, can actually do more for you than the Democrats have. Are you going to continue to support this failed policy from the Democrats that has been going on for decades and decades now, or are you going to give the other party an opportunity?
And President Trump really did inspire conservatives around the world, and conservatism has replaced the left as the voice of the common people. You see it in Italy, you see it in the UK, in France, all across the world. And it all comes back to President Trump. However, we do have a third point to talk about, and this is perhaps the most. This is the point you're going to hear the most in the media. There's been a lot of Democratic attacks, especially in CNN. The usual suspects. They can't tolerate the fact that she's a Christian, can they? This especially manifests itself in her pro-life stance as a woman.
No, and obviously this will be the biggest political talking point when they're talking about, Woe and Raid and will that be overruled and this kind of thing. But I think just speaking in a more, broadly speaking, just looking at the horizon on this whole topic of pro-choice and pro-life, what she does is she, I think, gives a good representation of that pro-life argument, because I often see it mischaracterized. Now, I'm not going to talk about now and make the argument for pro-life or pro-choice or whatever. I think it's really, really contested issue, and there's no objectively clear choice on it. But what I don't like is this mischaracterization of the pro-life argument, which is that it's all about women's rights and that anyone who disagrees with pro-choice is sexist. No, the reality is that some people believe that all life is sacrosanct, and that includes unborn children, whether it's a fetus or not. In the case of Catholics, they don't believe in contraception. They don't believe in contraception because of their pro-life stance. That's how far back it goes. But it comes from, I believe, for most people, most devout Catholics, a very moralistically good place, virtuous place, And it's not that they're sexist or, against women's rights or whatever, anything like this. The left has hijacked the argument to try and make it about women's rights because it's just, again, incredibly easy to just label someone as a sexist if they disagree with them and go back to this idea of identity politics again.
Absolutely. And that's what they just can't take it, can they? Because what they've been calling a tool of oppression for women for a very long time, and a young, successful woman comes along and she's pro-life and she's supporting this tool of oppression. Their entire argument unravels. And that's our final point. So there you have it, folks. Amy Coney Barrett, mere existent, challenges and destroys these left-wing identity politic narratives. Thank you so much for listening. Do please subscribe to us, like us, leave us a comment down below, and we'll see you next time. Thanks very much.